Alright, and welcome back to yet another Premier League Game Week predictions. Let's just say I'm very happy with our last week went, not in terms of my predictions itself, but in terms of some of the results. But enough of that, we're just going to move swiftly on to Game Week 20. Done this in a similar style to last week, where they're much shorter, much more concise predictions. I think it just works better as a video. You're not spending like half an hour listening to me ramble on about football teams. You can listen to more 15 minutes, you know. So yeah, this is probably how I'm going to do it moving forward. I'm going to start off with the Saturday fixtures and Luton Town versus Chelsea. So yes, Luton Town are hosting Chelsea at Kenilworth Road as they look to build on their consecutive wins and climb out of the relegation zone. Luton Town are coming off the back of a hard-fought win against Sheffield United, with 2 own goals helping them over the line. I mean, you got to be sympathetic to the Sheffield United keeper, man. Like, even his own players are scoring against him now. Like, what's going on? Chelsea also coming off the back of a win though, as they beat Palace late on to claim an all-important 3 points. But it just sees Chelsea's form continue to fluctuate. You know, indicative of their 3 points, Chelsea did look good at Stamford Bridge. They were very much in charge during that first half, made some good attacking moves, some good attacking threats. They may have tailed off a little bit towards the second half. They were still a very good side and much deserved the 3 points, to be honest. But it shows that Chelsea are still very inconsistent. Their form is still very much up in the air as to what they'll do next. Regardless, those 3 points will fill this Chelsea side with confidence, and that is going to be much needed at Kenilworth Road because, as we know, Luton don't mess around at Kenilworth Road. It's going to be a tough match for both sides. I'm going to say 1-1. I've said it before and I'll say it again, you know, Luton are a different beast at the Kenny. Chelsea have been far too inconsistent this season to make me think that they'll be able to beat this Luton side away from home. This is a Luton side that are in form at the moment with their 2 wins on the bounce and will be full of confidence as they welcome the Blues to Bedfordshire. Chelsea do have a lot of attacking threat, and I can see that troubling Luton Town. I do see Luton conceding, you know, Chelsea grabbing a goal. I'm not sure who from, but especially with the likes of Palmer and Sterling back in contention, I don't think Chelsea are going to overwhelm them. I don't think they really have that capacity to do that, especially at Kenilworth Road. We've seen teams much better than Chelsea struggle to gain 3 points there, so it's going to be an interesting match. I do think Luton can hold Chelsea to a draw, and they always seem to find the back of the net when they're at home. It should be a good clash between the two sides, but I do see the points being shared in Bedfordshire. And then move on to Crystal Palace versus Brentford. It's an East versus West London clash as Crystal Palace hosts Brentford at Selhurst Park. Palace are coming off the back of their late loss to Chelsea, which has seen their form dip to 3 losses and 2 draws from their last 5, which is not a great form if you want to survive the Premier League. It's a terrible run of form that has seen them slip to just 3 points above the relegation zone. Brentford aren't doing much better either though, as they're coming off the back of a domination at the hands of Wolves in their own backyard. The Bees find themselves just a point ahead of their opponents as they slump to their 4th consecutive loss. This could be a potential relegation scrap, to be honest, with each side fighting to escape the clutches that they are slowly being dragged towards. But again, I'm going to say a 1-1 draw. These two sides love to play out a draw between one another, and I can see the same happening here. Both sides are going through a lot of injuries at the moment, with 6 players looking like they'll be out for either side, which is quite a lot. These teams have not had a good time with injuries as of late, especially Brentford, who's just nosedived as soon as their more important players were sidelined, and Palace just been struggling all season really. But yeah, as I mentioned, Brentford's downturn in form has conceded with the injury crisis, but again, that doesn't really excuse their dread performance against Wolves. They were absolutely shocking, and Nathan Collins was almost the catalyst for that downfall. Now I know it's probably pretty harsh on the defender, but he led to at least 2 of those Wolves goals, so I think it's fair game, to be honest. I do suspect though that the points will be shared once again in this East versus West London clash, because I don't think either team really has enough to overcome the other. Like, they're both struggling at the moment. Maybe Palace have the better attacking threat, but Brentford are decent in defence, so who knows. And then move on to Manchester City versus Sheffield United. The world champions host rock-bottom Sheffield United at the Etihad as they look to climb back up the table to defend their league crown. They came from behind to claim an all-important 3 points against Everton, and were looking to start a winning run to maintain their Premier League crown and ensure that it doesn't fall to the likes of Liverpool or Arsenal. Sheffield United, on the other hand, are coming off the back of a loss to Luton Town, which sees them rooted to the bottom of the table, a massive 7 points from safety, and that gap doesn't look like closing anytime soon. City have seen themselves slide down the table in recent weeks, so we're looking to put that slump in form behind them and build on the win against Everton and their World Cup triumph to push back the table and return to the top of the league. I'm going to say 4-0 to City. Now, during the reverse fixture, Sheffield United shocked everyone by scoring a goal against Manchester City. But I can't see the Blades doing the same in Manchester. Sheffield United have conceded the most goals this season, while City have conceded less than half of their opponents, which, even despite their slump in form, is quite impressive. To make things worse for the Blades though, Hama and Ahmedovic, sorry if I've butchered your name, and McCarthy is ineligible to play against City anyway. Højlund could also make his return after his foot injury, but even without the Norwegian, City have a lot of attacking threat at their disposal and will no doubt harass the Blades' leaky back line. Should be a fairly easy clash for the reigning champions. I know we expected them to absolutely dominate them at Bramall Lane, and that didn't come into fruition. And even with Wilder, Sheffield United are going to be hard to break down, but they've still conceded a lot of goals this season, and I think Manchester City will just have an easy game against them, to be honest. They've just drawn games, they've not really lost, they've just been drawing, so it's not exactly a slump in form, but to their standards. I see City easing past Sheffield United. And then we move on to Aston Villa versus Burnley. Aston Villa host Burnley at Villa Park as they look to return to winning ways and get their title challenge back on track and stay competitive in this very exciting battle for the Premier League crown. You know, they're still right up there. Burnley, on the other hand, are looking to climb out of the relegation zone, so willing to return to winning ways against the Villains to reignite their bid for survival. Villa fell to Manchester United after going 2 goals clear, and will be hoping they don't implode in similar fashion against the Clarets. Burnley were also in a similar boat as they fell to one of Villa's title challenges at Turf Moor, as their survival hopes took another blow, falling to Liverpool. This clash though, I think Aston Villa will win it. I'm going to say 3-0 to the Villains. It should be a return to winning ways for Aston Villa at Villa Park. Now, while they did have trouble against one of Burnley's fellow relegation sides as they drew with the Blades in their previous home fixture, it did keep up Villa's brilliant home record, which will once again help them here. Now, Villa haven't managed to beat Burnley at Villa Park since 2010. Now, the two teams weren't in the same leagues at those times since 2010, but still, it's almost like Burnley are sort of a bogey team for Aston Villa. You know, the two claret and blue sides going at it, so it's going to be very interesting to see if Villa can break their duck here. But looking at both teams' current form and league positions, this should be a fairly easy match for Villa and should end that unfortunate streak. Burnley have conceded the second most goals this season, whilst Villa are the highest scoring side this season as well. So I can see Villa's potent front line causing Burnley a lot of issues at the back. The Villains have picked up a couple of injuries in recent matches, but against Burnley, can't really see that affecting them. Burnley don't really show much at all, and I just think Villa will be able to handle them pretty easily. And then we move on to Wolverhampton Wanderers versus Everton. Wolves host Everton at the Molineux as they look to win their 3rd consecutive Premier League match and end the year on a high. Wolves dominated Brentford in London during the week and will be hoping to build on that result and climb further up the table to really, cement themselves as a mid-table side. Everton's sparkling form looked like it's come to an end as they fell to their 2nd straight league defeat as Manchester City came from behind to beat the Toffees at Goodison. This has seen the Merseyside outfit slide back down the table, only sitting a point above the relegation zone. Now, Wolves were flying against Brentford, and that was partly assisted by a Nathan Collins disaster class, as I mentioned. And should Everton avoid something similar, I don't think we'll see another complete domination job here, but I do see Wolves winning anyway. I'm going to say 2-1 to Wolves. Yep, I can see Wolves picking up their 3rd consecutive win against what could be a struggling Everton side. Since getting knocked out of the cup by Fulham, Everton have failed to pick up points in their last 2 matches, and I see that bad run of form continuing, which could see Everton dragged further into relegation scrap if other results go against them. Wolves possess a wealth of attacking threat that will cause the Toffees a lot of issues at the Molineux, with Wang especially looking deadly. The Korean has brought his tally of goals this season to 10, which sets him head and shoulders above the rest of the Wolves attack. He did come off against Brentford due to injury concerns, so there's a good chance he might not feature in this clash. We don't know for certain, or he may come off the bench and harass them that way. Either way though, if he is available, I wouldn't be surprised if he added to his tally here. Something's changed at Everton, like a switch has been flipped, and since that loss to Fulham, they've just not looked like the side they were when they got hit with that points deduction, so it's going to be very interesting to see, but I do think Wolves will not comfortably win, but I think Wolves will claim all 3 points anyway. And then move on to Nottingham Forest versus Manchester United. Nottingham Forest versus Manchester United as they look to start a winning run and pull away from the relegation zone. Forest are coming off the back of a massive away win at Newcastle, with Chris Wood netting a hat-trick against his former club. What a player, man. Chris Wood is the best on earth. There's nothing more you can say. He is amazing. This marks Nuno's first win at the helm and fills the squad with a lot of confidence coming into this home clash. Manchester United are also coming off the back of a win as they came from behind to beat Villa at Old Trafford, with Højlund netting his first Premier League goal. Shaun Mills finally scored. They'll also be looking to start a winning run in a bid to secure European football for another season. However, I'm going to say 3-2 to Nottingham Forest. It should be a very close clash between these two, but I can see a Forest side full of confidence under the lights of the City Ground, keeping all 3 points in the East Midlands for the first time in a while. Neither side have been enduring a good first half to the season, but with each side coming off the back of a win, I'm sure they'll both be looking to end the year on a high. Forest have been struggling this season. I think that's an understatement, to be honest. So Manchester United will be looking at this clash as a good opportunity to get another win on the board, but I wouldn't discount Forest at home under Nuno Espirito Santo. Now, Forest have not beaten Manchester United at home since 1994, but I think we look well positioned to finally end that streak and finally get a win against the Red Devils. Forest look much more of an attacking threat under Nuno, and we're full of confidence going into this clash as underdogs. I mean, even under Steve Cooper, we saw how Anthony Elanga and Chris Wood could link up, and just under Nuno, that has bore a lot of fruit. So, I'm expecting Chris Wood have another masterclass. Who's to say no? You know, he's amazing. But yeah, Forest should be full of confidence going into the clash. Definitely class as the underdogs. So when Forest look like the underdogs, you know they cook. So I'm saying the 3 points will stay in the East Midlands with another Chris Wood masterclass. And then we move on to the Sunday fixtures and Fulham versus Arsenal. It's a West versus North London clash as Fulham host Arsenal at Craven Cottage. Fulham will be wanting to make a swift return to winning ways as they fell to their third consecutive loss to Bournemouth, and have been struggling to score goals after putting 10 past both West Ham and Nottingham Forest earlier in the month. Arsenal have been mounting another title challenge, but that hasn't been smooth sailing recently. They'll be wanting to make a return to winning ways to keep up their title challenge, keep things competitive, as they fail to beat West Ham in their own backyard. If Fulham keep failing to pick up points, they do risk slipping into the relegation scrap, whereas Arsenal will be looking to keep their title challenge alive. And I'm going to say 2-0 to Arsenal. I am backing Arsenal to claim all 3 points here. As I touched on, Fulham have been quite inconsistent recently and don't look like they can hit the broadside of a barn. They've not scored a goal in their last 3 league matches, and if you look at all competitions, they've only scored 1 in 4. Despite a drop in form from Arsenal, they have a really strong side, and I don't doubt they'll pick up 3 points at the Cottage. They're in much better goal scoring form than their opponents, and despite losing 2-0 to West Ham, Arsenal attempted 30 shots against the Hammers, and I think that with Fulham's defensive issues, Arsenal should and probably will score some of those. Should be another 3 points for the Gunners to keep their title challenge going, and I think it'll be another misery for Fulham as they just don't really look like scoring a goal at the moment. I'm not sure what happened. Like, they started the season off not scoring goals, had a very small chunk where they scored goals, and now stopped scoring goals again. So I really don't know what's going on that side of London, but I can't see Fulham picking up any points against Arsenal. And then we move on to Tottenham versus Bournemouth. Spurs host Bournemouth in the capital as they look to make a swift return to winning ways and keep up their top 4 push to secure a return to European football. Spurs were dominated by Brighton on the coast, and despite pulling 2 goals back towards the death, were handily outplayed by the Sussex outfit. Bournemouth, on the other hand, are one of the informed sides at the moment. They've won 4 of their last 5 and are really showing themselves as an attacking outfit under Iraola. It will be very interesting to see the attacking football of Ange Ball come against the attacking football of Iraola Ball. So I'm going to expect some lovely high lines from both sides. Probably more Ange than Bournemouth, let's be real. But I can only really see one outcome of this clash, and that's a 2-1 win for Bournemouth. I am backing the Cherries to win this clash in London. Both sides have been playing good football this season, but Bournemouth are currently the in-form side, and I can see them causing a lot of problems for this Spurs side. This is a Spurs side that's been swamped with injuries as of late as well, which does need to be taken into account, but they're still terrible. Spurs are going to be without another of their attacking talents in Kulusevski, as he'll be suspended during this match for his silly pull on Danny Welbeck. Don't know why he thought that would work, to be honest, but he's paying the price now, which makes this Tottenham side look even weaker than they already are. As mentioned, Bournemouth are on fire at the moment and will look to exploit this weakened Spurs side as they look to take another 3 points and climb up the table once again. It'll be a tough clash for both sides. They both play effective attacking football. We've seen them reap the rewards, but I do see Bournemouth claiming those 3 points and extending their winning run into the new year with 5 consecutive league wins. The Cherries are cooking, man. They are cooking. Then move on to the Monday fixture and Liverpool versus Newcastle. Liverpool host Newcastle at Anfield as they look to keep their seat at the top of the league and start another run of victories. Liverpool are committed back after a win against Burnley at Turf Moor and found themselves sitting 2 points clear at the top of the league. Newcastle, on the other hand, have not been having a good time with it recently. Results have not gone their way and are currently coming off the back of a humiliation at home to strugglers Nottingham Forest. Liverpool haven't really been convincing themselves though, and some of the performances they've produced against these relegation candidates have not been the dominations you would have expected of them. Now, they have won these matches, they've got the 3 points, so they're not struggling like Newcastle are, but still, you'd be expecting Liverpool to really cook those relegation teams, and they've just not. They've just not. As simple as that, they've just not. So yeah, you'd expect them to dominate, and they just haven't. But despite that, I'm going to say 2-0 to Liverpool. I am backing Liverpool to enter the new year with another 3 points to their name, and start the year at the top of the league. Newcastle are going through something of an injury crisis at the moment, still dealing with a large amount of injuries and not putting up inspiring performances on the pitch either. I see their misery continuing at Anfield. Newcastle could rely on their home form earlier in the season, but now that seems to have evaporated recently as well, and they've been very poor away from home, and I really see that continuing against Liverpool. Like, I've not seen a convincing Newcastle performance on the road in the league in quite a while. I mean, they did decently in the Champions League, but in the actual Premier League, they are really not looking good away from home. The Reds have a lot of attacking threat at their disposal, and that will cause a lot of issues for the Geordies and their weary back line. It's more about how clinical Liverpool can be rather than how good Dubravka can be. We saw them spurn their fair share of chances against both Arsenal and Burnley, so if they can get their shooting boots, they could dominate Newcastle, and it does seem like that's that kind of thing that will happen after struggling against Burnley and Sheffield United. So, hey, we might see a wipeout, but really I doubt that. Should be a fairly easy clash of Liverpool on Merseyside. I wouldn't entirely discount Newcastle, but they are looking woeful at the moment, swamped with injuries and just terrible away from home. So can't really see them getting anything from this match, to be honest, and they wouldn't deserve it anyway. And finally, Tuesday night, and West Ham United versus Brighton. West Ham host Brighton in the capital as they look to keep their winning run going into the new year as they maintain their assault on the top 6. The Hammers are in some impressive form at the moment as they're coming off the back of a win away at Arsenal, and will hope to keep that going as they host the Seagulls. Brighton haven't been enjoying as good of a run of form though, but they are coming off the back of a dominant win against Spurs on the coast, with João Pedro scoring twice from the spot to take him to the top of Brighton's scoring charts. Search João Pedro 15 for more information. It's going to be a tough clash for both sides, with the Seagulls suffering from quite a few injuries, whilst West Ham are enjoying some very good form at the moment. I'm going to say 2-1 to West Ham. I think the Hammers will just grab a win at the London Stadium. The hosts are in good form, as I've mentioned, and we're looking to bring that form into the new year and really continue their assault on the top 6. I mean, West Ham have also shown their effectiveness in attacking against Arsenal and Manchester United, and I can see them replicating that against the Seagulls. The performance against Manchester United was phenomenal, to be honest, and they eased to a win against Arsenal at the Emirates anyway, so West Ham looking very good at the moment, and I don't think Brighton have what it takes to really stop them. Now, yes, Brighton do play an attacking brand of football under De Zerbi, and I do see them scoring against West Ham, but it's going to be a very tough game for the two sides either way, that's for sure. I don't think either side is really the standout champion, but I do see West Ham keeping their 3 points in London just because of the form they're in at the moment and just the impressive displays they've been putting out. Not an easy win for West Ham, but a hard-fought 3 points, definitely. And yes, those have been my Game Week 20 Premier League predictions. I do believe there's a break after this week, so we can all rest and relax after a very hectic, festive set of fixtures. Some very impressive results in there. I've been O2GT. Chris Wood is the best striker on earth. I hope everybody knows this. They should know this because he is just... what a player, man. But yes, I shall see you guys in the next video. Leave any predictions you may have in the comments and tell me why Nottingham Forest are going to beat Manchester United. I shall see you guys in the next one. Peace.